Are you a boss babe who doesn't need a man for anything? Are you a strong, independent woman who has her own? Do you believe that women can do anything a man can do? Then you may absolutely hate this video. These are some of the terms that modern women have adopted over the years that I think personally has become a very toxic thing. In this video, I'll be discussing the dangers of being a modern woman and how it's really just killing your softness and killing your femininity in general. Okay, so if that's something that you want to talk about and something you want to hear me converse about, stick around for this video. The first time that we've heard this word feminism is in early 20th century, and this was a time where women, they could not open bank accounts, they could not work jobs, they could not do anything in society without the permission of their husbands. Now, in one case, I do see obviously the struggle and the reason why women fought for this, because obviously you want to be able to go into the world and live a normal life. However, as the years have gone on, as life has changed, as society has changed, this has gone from what I would consider a basic human right to be able to work in the world and to be able to navigate in the world, to being a competition with the opposite gender. So really, this idea of modern feminism is thought to tear down gender norms and the roles of men and women. So it says simply that women can do anything that a man can do, and a man can do anything that a woman can do. So the first problem that I see with this idea is that it really creates a notion of competition amongst men and women. When we do not have distinct roles between the two, it can create a battleground. Okay, so it like they always say, it can't be two queens or two kings in a castle. That's exactly what this idea of modern feminism has done. So we see a lot of women competing with men in the workplace, in the home, in relationship, and women wanting to assume the position of control and power. What started as a good movement for women to be able to just live their lives in society has now turned into women wanting to overthrow the patriarchy, right, and get into a space where it's now about competition. I spoke about this a little bit more from a spiritual standpoint in my previous video, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested in diving deeper into that topic from a spiritual, godly standpoint. And I think also that this idea of women competing with men really comes from, at least from a black woman perspective, of us not really growing up with fathers in the home, or growing up with stand-up men, godly men around us. You often hear and see a lot of the times women do not want to be corrected nowadays. Women do not want men to have an opinion about anything. They do not want men to assume a position of leadership in their lives. And I really do think that this is because, for black women specifically, that of us did not have an upright, upstanding example of what a man in a godly role and a godly leadership looks like. So you have a bunch of toxic men, obviously in the homes or out of the homes or absent completely, and then you have women who are assuming the position of both roles. And it's no wonder that now the generations who dealt with that now have daughters who cannot take correction. This is why we are very combative. The same root word for both of those: competition, combative. And the root word for simply just means with, together, in association with, or by intensive force. Okay, so anytime you see this is what it's creating. It's creating intensive force between men and women. Don't you just love the English language? Sometimes. Another thing that really stands out when it comes to the dangers of modern feminism is this idea that women need to prioritize being a career woman, a boss babe, over being perhaps a wife or a mother. Now, this is not to say that women should not have goals, women should not have aspirations. What modern feminism has done in this category is saying that any woman who wants to be a wife, any woman who wants to pursue family, any woman who wants to, strictly just focused on taking care of the home and taking care of her family is a woman who is lackluster, is a woman who is subservient, is a woman who is without any goals or aspirations for herself. And again, it is not to say that the opposite of that is bad. This idea that modern feminism has put a damper on the other choice. So really, I always just like to say modern feminism for us in today's world has really stripped us of our God-given femininity. The very thing that makes you a woman, modern feminism tells you that it is not good enough, which is oddly enough the very thing that modern feminism is supposed to be fighting against. It's just a complicated oxymoron. It is a mind-altering, mind-confusing thing that I think that we really need to get and handle over. Just from a godly standpoint, women are designed to have children. Women are designed to be protected. Women are designed to follow the godly, integral leadership of men. And again, obviously, when you come from a place in your journey or in your life where you did not see examples of godly leadership, of godly men, of men in integrity, and even if they were not godly men, just men in integrity in general, men who protected women, you will struggle to change your mindset about this. And you are always going to want to assume a position of control, which is not the way that a feminine woman especially leads her life. That I'm going to flow into with the dangers of being a modern woman is this idea of super masculine independence, of not being able to ask for help, not being able to, again, take correction, inserting your dominance wherever you see fit. I experienced this a lot in the workplace. Before I became a full-time content creator, YouTuber, stay-at-home mom, I worked a couple of different jobs. I worked a lot of jobs that I couldn't keep. But maybe the last 3 jobs that I worked, these women were some of the most nasty, masculine presenting, and it wasn't just masculine, I would say it was toxic masculinity. Everybody's favorite word to throw around. It was toxic masculinity that I was experiencing. These women, and it was so strange to me how these were 2 separate jobs in 2 different years. One was before the pandemic and one was shortly thereafter. And they upheld the same exact standard. They were mean. They were harsh with their words. They were very, what one would say, oh, I'm direct. No, they were rude. They just had a spirit or an energy about them that was just repelled me. It repelled me and it repelled everyone else. You can tell that perhaps maybe what they were going through in their personal lives really took effect to what they were doing in their workplace. Give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it so far. It helps to push it in the algorithm. And this is another thing that's really taboo for me, or just a taboo topic, just based upon how our bodies operate. Our hormonal cycles run from, if it's normal, a 28 to 32 day cycle, meaning that only at one point in our cycle we are operating at our highest, which is during ovulation. That's when our hormones are the most steady. Any other time from there, it's a given variation. And I say all of this to say the way in which women have learned to work is very harmful for not only the body but for our emotional state, which is why you do have those women in the workplace who most of the time, because they're so stressed out about, and they are in leadership roles, right? They are so stressed out, which is in turn why I think, in theory, that they treat people the way that they do in their workplace, because they have no other outlet. They have no other outlet that's healthy. The next point I want to move into is hypersexuality. This is a very touchy subject, which I am aware of, but I must tell you the truth. As your big sister, as your sister in general, I want to tell you the truth. A lot of women have adopted a hypersexual identity that they use in order to protect themselves from being misused and abused by men. I'm here to tell you that having sex without any emotion attached, without any commitment from that man, is not the flex that you think that it is. What women have done is embody the toxic behaviors that they've experienced from men and embrace them for themselves, and now that's how they're operating in the world in any capacity, but especially in the sexual capacity. So we have a whole movement of women embracing their sexuality, and they're exchanging themselves and giving themselves to any and anybody who will look at them or who will give them any affirmation or validation. So not only do we have men, some men doing this, we have some women doing this as well. And what's so crazy about it is, if you have conversations with women in this way, it's very triggering for them, because the world has done a really good job of telling women, like, oh, you're just sexually liberated, you should be able to do what it is that you want to do, you should be able to do, have sex and be protected, and be able to have abortion and not have children if you don't want to have children. But you're really assuming the position of the people who harmed you. You're really assuming the same mindset, the same thinking of the people who caused you harm to even start thinking like this in the first place. So it's really again, like I say, it's very mental in how society is shaping and molding women, or has shaped and molding women. It is causing so much harm, not only to those women, but to the children of those women, to the people that interact with those women. And there needs to be a lot of unlearning done in this area. I will be releasing another workshop about femininity and sexuality. Okay, so this workshop is going to cover hypersexuality, how to heal it. Is going to cover how to engage in sex from a marital standpoint. Okay, is going to be talking about celibacy and the power of celibacy for my girlies who are single and who are waiting for their husbands. Okay, so it's going to cover a whole lot, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because I feel like this is one gateway that has been the most harmful for us as women, and I think that if we talk about it and we tackle it, we can do a better job of teaching our children. Lastly but not least, being a modern woman is killing your femininity. It strips you of your softness. It strips you of being approachable. It strips you of the natural God-given inclination that you have to be nurturing, to be caring, to be vulnerable, to be loving, to be kind, to be charitable. Again, the Proverbs 31 woman. Being a modern woman takes you away from what God has designed for you to be. A lot of you don't want to be a feminine, godly woman because you've been scorned, because you've been hurt. And again, that's not to say that you should not feel that way. But at some point, you have to move yourself out of that thinking process and come back to a thinking process that is going to serve you at the end of the day. Being a feminine woman really puts you on a path that, again, God designed for you to be. Being a feminine woman is being a woman in her true power. It is not from a stance of manipulation. It is not from a stance of just getting what you want and moving on. It is not from a stance of selfishness. It is from being a feminine woman is about being whole, being complete, and being satisfied with all that you have and all that God has given you when it comes to being a woman. You don't have to seek out and do what other people have done to you. You don't have to use your body as a way to manipulate and get your needs met. You don't have to overwork yourself and be an example of another black woman or another woman who has worked herself to the bone. Okay, you don't have to be subservient to men who have harmed you in one way or another. You really just learn you got to let God heal you at the end of the day. You have to let God heal your heart so that you can come into a place where you realize that your femininity is needed. Our girls need a solid example of a feminine woman. The example that the girls have right now is going to lead down a path of further destruction, which is why I'm imploring you, it's your turn to do something. Really get into a space where you begin to pray about the ways in which you have embodied some of these things that I mentioned in regards to being a modern woman. And With that being said, I'm going to leave some journal prompts in the description that really helped me to come to terms with what I need to do to heal my feminine and to get closer to the Most High God and to be a woman of God's design. So I'm going to leave those journal prompts down below. If you feel like you want to answer one of those journal prompts in the comment section, please feel free to do so. This is a safe space. Nobody's going to judge you for your response. Also, follow me on Instagram. I post about motherhood and femininity and my doula work and anything else I feel like posting on there because it's a social platform. And with that being said, I hope you have a beautiful, blessed rest of your day. Peace.